When we observe the history of television shows based on video games, one good example of that topic would be the Viva Pinata television series, based on the video game by Rare of the same name. As said in the theme song of the series, the basic premise is that pinatas that live on a tropical Candyland island all
live, dance, and dream that one day they will be chosen to entertain at a party as only pinatas can.
Well, except for a hedgehog of a stereotypical cowardly Jewish accent and a fox of qualities that can be explained in one clip.
The thing with the bling and the yo and the yo and the yo 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 and the yo yo yo.
But in this video we will not be talking about them, as instead, we will talk about free swagger characters of the show with the most awesomest powers, abilities, and qualities that all go along very well with the definition of ultimate coolness. Yeah. First up, there's the Great Bonboon, an ape-like creature who takes on the role of being an all-knowing guru and often tries to get as much candy as possible for himself and for a friend of his named Sid.
You ain't gonna believe this, Sid. Those pinatas don't know a party decoration when they see one. How dumb can they be?
Although the character Polly often shows much undeserved disbelief in him and his doings, there have been times where the Great Bonboon's wisdom and actions have aided the inhabitants of Pinata Island in one way or another. One example of this, along with his swag, was his role during the first episode of the show where Fergie visits him for advice on how he could easily get rid of all of the massive bulk of candy within him after consuming so much, which greatly puts him in danger of being worthy of going to a party, as this is what he usually tries to avoid. In order to help Fergie, the Great Bonboon gives him a riddle as advice, which he quotes,
"To become smaller, you must become larger."
Which, although he also tasks Fergie to do a series of chores for him in exchange for requesting his help, his advice does indeed aid Fergie when he manages to find and consume a secret stash of candy within the Bonboon's residence, resulting in his topside eventually blowing up, making him unqualified to be used at a party due to the loss of candy and making Fergie very thankful for his advice. Therefore, in this episode, the Great Bonboon is the hero of the story and the key to the story's resolution. And that is just one of the many qualities of being a swagger. And now for a brief moment where we observe his awesome guy mannerisms and doings.
But you must follow my directions to the very letter. No questions asked. Just like in that movie with the kid who does karate. The name escapes me. Ah, this will work fine. Pinata likes a soft shrine. What with his hemorrhoids and all. Get me out of gold and alt energy, and into pork futures and biotech. Ooh, listen, Sid, I gotta go enlighten some schmo. Ciao. Oh, seeker of wisdom, Bonboon to mission control, locate jetpack over. Roger that.
Jetpack?
Just one of my many scientific inventions, Fudge for Brains.
Yeah. Next up, we have Pecky Pudgeon, a pigeon character who was a reporter and photographer working for Pinata Island's news organization, the Pinata Yada Yada. Although he can only be seen as a neutral character and is not usually considered a friend of the main pinatas, he is occasionally helped and accompanied them on their adventures. A good scoop for the press is what can best financially aid those who gather the information on it, and Pecky takes such thing to his advantage. An example of this can be seen in the episode Mission in Pinatable, where Hudson gets kidnapped by the series' main antagonist, Professor Pester, and Pecky profited from getting information about it as a result. However, Pecky eventually admits to the main characters of his doings, and although they bribe him into coming along with their rescue mission with the pay he could receive from the press exposure of Hudson being saved, Pecky more than willingly agrees to join them on their quest, thus showing that Pecky does indeed have a morally good, more heroic side to him.
Wait a minute! Wait for me! We gotta rescue the plan!
And we see even more in that when it is implied that the other pinatas do genuinely appreciate him for who he is, as they throw a surprise birthday party for him by setting up an elaborate investigation case for him to indulge in. And that is all what makes Pecky additionally the kind of swagger who takes on doing only the most righteous efforts in order to be rewarded with the best gifts. Now once again, we shall have a brief moment where we observe not only his mannerisms, but spectacular responses.
Evening, guys and dolls. Welcome to the annual Pinata Island Dance Contest. I'm your host eating toast, the pigeon with the vision, the dove that you love, Pecky Pudgeon. If Hudson beats Hamilton, I'll eat my shoe.
You don't wear shoes.
Well, someone else's shoe then. You're on! Pinatas tell me I got a nose for news, which is a weird thing to say, cause I don't have a nose.
Follow the candy.
Yeah, I remember what he said. Thanks.
Sorry.
Go to town.
Could use some salt.
And now, we get to one of my personal favorites, Professor Pester, a Tiki-like character who is the main antagonist of the series. His exact origins of how he became present on the island are not certain, when considering he along with his ruffians are the only other creatures that are not pinatas. But one thing that is made clear throughout the episodes is that his main goal is to permanently capture one or more pinatas for himself, so he can consume their candy whenever he wants.
Hudson Hostachio, Pinata with the sweetest candy of all, is in the steely grasp of yours truly, Professor Pester! Ahem! Yes!
Despite his villainous status and demanding nature, it is important to give the character good credit on the amount of effort he puts when arranging his plans into action, while also finding out things he is notably only capable of, or knows of, compared to other characters of the series. An excellent example of Professor Pester's exceptional care and effort when organizing his schemes is portrayed in the episode Free the Pinatas, where he creates and finishes a motion capture controlled robot designed to resemble a pinata, intended to be used to gain the trust of the real pinatas on the island so that he can stop going to parties and unknowingly becoming more prone to being captured by Professor Pester. Despite its intents, you have to admit that the technical input and conception Professor Pester ties together in his doings are no doubt very articulate and unique, which no other pinata is probably capable of besides the character Les, another knowledgeable character. Not to mention that Professor Pester shows off a streak at times of his likely respect for the legendary, as we see when he references Michael Jackson's Thriller when testing out his motion capture robotics, and once paying homage to one of the greatest comedic minds of all time, Jeff Dunham!
Oh, Sparky, how was your day? I say, Sparky, how was your day? Huh? Say something, you wooden-headed... Pick a fight with me, will you?
And even if Professor Pester may often go against fellow swaggers of Pinata Island, he himself is still perfectly worthy and eligible of being considered one in his own right, thanks to his undoubtedly impressive craftsmanship and creativity. Now let us spend one last moment of observing some of his most awesomest scenes of ultimate coolness and cityness.
Marvel at the aerial artistry of the Flying Pesterolenda! You walked right into my trap! Backwards, but to each his own.
Umbrellas? Where did they come from?
My sister knows one of the animators. Say! That gives me an idea! An idea so evil, a lesser man would cackle maniacally at this point. But not me, that's so undignified and... Oh, pooh. After them, you half-pint hooligans! No! It's always such fun to visit the planetarium. Oh, look, the Little Dipper. Oh...
And with that, we have now finished off our look on the free swaggers from the Viva Pinata television series and given the attention and admiration they all well and truly deserve. Thanks for watching.